So, what's up everyone, welcome to the channel. Today, we're diving into something that's been on a lot of people's minds lately. Bitcoin mining at home in 2025. With Bitcoin's price absolutely soaring past that $100,000 mark, it feels like everyone is suddenly curious about how they can get a piece of that digital gold. The idea of setting up a rig in your own space and generating cryptocurrency is more appealing than ever, but it can also seem incredibly complex and out of reach if you're just starting out. That's exactly why we're making this video. The truth is, there's a lot of noise out there, a lot of technical jargon, confusing guides, and frankly some bad advice. My goal here is to cut through all of that and give you a clean, straightforward look at what it actually takes to get started. We're going to look at the hardware, the software, the costs, and the potential returns. We'll break down the 4 best ways to mine Bitcoin from home, so you can pick the right method for you. This isn't about becoming a massive mining farm overnight, it's about understanding the landscape and finding your entry point. And just to be super clear from the jump, this video is for beginners, no experience needed. You don't need a degree in computer science or a background in cryptography to follow along. We're starting from square one, explaining everything step by step in plain English. We'll cover the pros, the cons, the risks, and the rewards of each method. By the end of this, you should have a solid foundation and a clear idea of which path, if any, makes sense for your setup and your goals, so let's get into it. Alright, first up, let's talk about what I like to call the lottery ticket approach, lottery mining. This is probably the most accessible entry point for anyone who's just curious and wants to dip their toes in the water without a massive upfront investment. Think of it less as a reliable income stream, and more as a hobbyist's game of chance. You're essentially buying a very cheap lottery ticket for a massive prize, but the odds of winning are, to be frank, astronomically low. But hey, people win the lottery, right? So how does it work? With lottery mining, you're using a very low-power, inexpensive piece of hardware to try and solve a block on the Bitcoin network all by yourself. The entire network of miners, from massive industrial farms to solo operators, is competing to find the solution to the same cryptographic puzzle. If by some miracle your tiny little miner finds that solution before anyone else, you get the entire block reward. As of 2025, that's 3.125 Bitcoin, which, at over $100,000 per coin, is a life-changing payout. The appeal here is pretty obvious. It's the thrill of the hunt, it's the what-if scenario. There are legendary stories in the crypto space of a solo miner with a tiny setup hitting the jackpot against all odds. It's a rare event, almost a statistical anomaly, but it does happen. This makes it perfect for tinkerers, hobbyists, and educators, people who are more interested in learning about the process and being part of the network than they are in making a predictable profit. You set it up, let it run, and mostly forget about it, knowing there's a slim chance of a huge payday. The hardware for this is where it gets interesting because it's so approachable. You're not buying a multi-thousand-dollar behemoth. Instead, you're looking at small, open-source miners. A really popular one is the Bitax, specifically the Bitaxi Hex model. It's a tiny, hexagonal-shaped miner that's quiet, energy-efficient, and perfect for a desk setup. It's more of an educational tool that fully participates in the mining process, giving you a hands-on feel for how the technology works. Another classic option in this category is something like the Gecko Science R909. These are small, USB-powered miners that have been around for a while. They won't break the bank and they sip electricity, so you don't have to worry about your power bill going through the roof. You plug it into a computer or a Raspberry Pi, run some simple software, and you're officially mining Bitcoin. It's a simple, low-cost way to engage with the network directly. The key takeaway for lottery mining is to manage your expectations. You are almost certainly not going to make money this way. The probability of solving a block with one of these devices is incredibly small. You're competing against exahashes of power from global mining pools. But it's not about the probability, it's about the possibility. It's a fun, low-risk way to learn, and it gives you a legitimate, albeit tiny shot at winning the Bitcoin lottery. So, who is this for? It's for the student who wants a project for their dorm room. It's for the tech enthusiast who loves to tinker with new hardware. It's for anyone who wants to support the decentralization of the Bitcoin network in a small way. If you approach it with the right mindset as an educational hobby with a sliver of a chance for a huge reward, then lottery mining is a fantastic and fun place to start your journey. Okay, let's level up. If lottery mining is like buying a single lottery ticket, our next method, solo ASIC mining, is like buying 1,000 tickets every single day. The potential reward is the same, the full block reward. but you're investing serious capital to significantly, though still slightly, increase your odds. This is the high-risk, high-reward path for the serious home miner who wants full control over their operation. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's definitely not cheap. First, let's define ASIC. It stands for Application-Specific Integrated Circuit. These aren't your everyday computers. They are machines designed to do one thing and one thing only: mine Bitcoin as fast as humanly possible. They are incredibly powerful, which means they are also incredibly expensive and consume a massive amount of electricity. This is where home mining starts to feel like a serious business operation, because the upfront and ongoing costs are substantial. With solo mining, you are pointing all of that hashing power directly at the Bitcoin network, again, competing against everyone else. You're not sharing your work or your potential rewards with anyone. If your hardware solves the block, you keep all 3.125 Bitcoin. The upside is clear: you don't have to split that massive payout. The downside is equally stark. If you don't solve a block, you get nothing, absolutely zero. And you could go months or even years without finding one. This is a game of patience and deep pockets. You have to be prepared to run your expensive ASIC miner 24/7, paying a hefty electricity bill each month with no guarantee of a return on your investment for a very long time. The odds are still stacked against you, but you've moved from a statistical impossibility to just being a very, very long shot. It's a high-stakes gamble, but one where you are in complete control of your own hardware and your own destiny. Now for the hardware, this is where things get serious. We're talking about top-of-the-line machines. A prime example for 2025 would be something like the Bitmain Antminer S21 Hydro. The Hydro part is key. This is a liquid-cooled miner. It's quieter and more efficient than its air-cooled counterparts, but it requires a more complex setup with water cooling infrastructure. It's a beast of a machine, delivering an immense hash rate, but it comes with a price tag to match, easily running into the tens of thousands of dollars. Another contender in the high-end space is the Canaan Avalon A1266. This would be a more traditional air-cooled option, which is simpler to set up but produces a lot more noise and heat. You can't just stick one of these in your living room. You'll need a dedicated space like a garage or a basement with proper ventilation and soundproofing. The heat and noise from a high-powered ASIC are no joke. It's like having a very loud, very hot server running constantly. So who should even consider solo ASIC mining? This is for someone with significant capital to invest, a high tolerance for risk, and, crucially, access to cheap electricity. If your power costs are high, this model is a non-starter. You'll spend more on electricity than you could ever hope to make back. It's for the person who believes in Bitcoin long-term and is willing to make a substantial bet on both the future price of the coin and their own luck. It's the ultimate purist's form of mining, but it carries the ultimate risk. So we've covered the long-shot hobbyist and the high-stakes gambler, but what if you're looking for something more predictable? What if you want to turn your mining hardware into a source of steady, reliable income, even if it's small? That's where our third method, pool mining, comes in. This is by far the most popular and practical way for an individual to mine Bitcoin today. It's the team player approach. Instead of going it alone against the entire global network, pool mining is exactly what it sounds like. You join a pool of other miners from around the world. Everyone in the pool combines their hashing power, pointing it all together to solve blocks. Think of it like this: instead of one person trying to find a needle in a haystack, you have thousands of people all searching together. Your chances of finding the needle as a group become much, much higher. When the pool successfully solves a block and earns the 3.125 Bitcoin reward, that reward is then distributed among all the miners in the pool. The payout you receive is proportional to the amount of hashing power you contributed. So if your single ASIC miner contributed 0.01% of the pool's total power, you'll receive 0.01% of the block reward. It's a tiny fraction, but because a large pool finds blocks very frequently, often multiple times a day, those tiny fractions add up. This completely changes the economics of mining. You're trading the massive all-or-nothing jackpot of solo mining for a small, consistent, and predictable stream of income. You can calculate your expected daily earnings based on your hardware's hash rate, your electricity cost, and the pool's fees. This makes it possible to treat mining like a business, with foreseeable revenues and expenses. The risk of getting zero return is virtually eliminated, replaced by the certainty of small, regular payouts. Choosing the right pool is a key decision. You'll want to look at a few factors. The pool's total hash rate. Bigger is generally better, as it means more frequent block finds. its fee structure and its payout model. The most popular payout model is PPS Plus or Pay Per Share Plus. This means you get paid for every valid share of work your miner submits, regardless of whether the pool actually finds a block. This provides the most stable and predictable income. Some of the biggest and most reputable pools you'll see in 2025 are names like Foundry USA, which is a dominant force, particularly in North America. Then you have giants like Ant Pool and Via BTC, which have been around for a long time and have a massive global user base. Joining one is simple. You create an account on their website, and then you configure your ASIC miner software to point to that pool's address instead of mining solo. The whole process takes just a few minutes. So pool mining is the go-to method for anyone who has invested in an ASIC miner and wants to see a return on that investment. It's for the person who wants to mitigate risk and generate a daily cash flow from their hardware. It takes the gamble out of mining and turns it into a more conventional operation. If you're serious about making money from mining at home, this is almost certainly the path you're going to take. It's the sensible, pragmatic, and overwhelmingly popular choice for a reason. Alright, for our final method, we're looking at something completely different. What if you're intrigued by the idea of Bitcoin mining profits but want absolutely nothing to do with buying, setting up, or maintaining loud, hot, expensive hardware? What if you just want to pay a fee and have someone else do all the work? This is the promise of cloud mining. It's the ultimate hands-off approach, but, and this is a huge but, it is also by far the riskiest and most controversial method on our list. Here's the concept. A company sets up a massive mining farm with thousands of ASICs. They then rent out portions of their total hashing power to customers like you. You go to their website, choose a contract, say, for a certain amount of hashing power for a period of 1 year, and you pay them a fee. In return, they are supposed to mine Bitcoin on your behalf and deposit the earnings into your wallet after taking their cut for electricity and maintenance. On the surface, this sounds amazing. No hardware to buy, no noise, no heat, no complicated setup, no soaring electricity bills. You get to participate in mining from the comfort of your web browser. It seems like the perfect solution for someone who wants exposure to mining returns without any of the operational headaches. This simplicity is its primary selling point and what draws so many beginners in. The barrier to entry is just a credit card. However, the reality of cloud mining is often very different from the promise. The space is absolutely filled with scams and fraudulent operations. Many so-called cloud mining companies don't actually own any mining hardware at all. They are simply elaborate Ponzi schemes that use money from new investors to pay returns to earlier ones, until the whole thing inevitably collapses and everyone loses their money. It can be incredibly difficult for a beginner to tell a legitimate operation from a scam. Even with the legitimate providers, profitability is a huge question mark. The contracts are structured to be profitable for the company, not necessarily for you. The fees they charge for maintenance and electricity are often so high that they eat up most, if not all, of your mining rewards. Many people find that by the end of their contract, they have earned less Bitcoin than they could have simply bought on an exchange for the same initial investment. You're often better off just buying Bitcoin directly. That being said, there are a few established names in the space that have a longer track record. Services like NiceHash offer a marketplace where you can buy hashing power from other users, which is a slightly different and more transparent model. Companies like Bitdeer, which has ties to the hardware manufacturer Bitmain, and Ecos, which claims to operate out of a free economic zone, are also prominent players. But even with these, you must do extensive research. Ultimately, my advice on cloud mining is to proceed with extreme caution. It is a minefield. For every legitimate service, there are a dozen scams waiting to take your money. Unless you have thoroughly vetted the provider, understand the contract terms inside and out, and have run the numbers to see if it's even potentially profitable after fees, it's probably best to avoid it. The risk of a negative return, or losing your entire investment, is just too high compared to the other methods we've discussed. So, there you have it. A full breakdown of the 4 main ways you can get into Bitcoin mining from home in 2025. We've gone from the low-cost, high-thrill lottery ticket of hobbyist miners, to the high-stakes world of solo ASICs, the steady and reliable team play of pool mining, and finally, the risky hands-off approach of cloud mining. As you can see, there isn't one single best way to mine. It's all about what's best for you. Ultimately, you need to choose your mining method based on your budget and risk tolerance. Are you a hobbyist, a gambler, or an investor? To quickly recap, remember this. For steady income, pool mining is your best bet. It's the most practical and proven path for earning a predictable return on your hardware investment. For thrill seekers with capital to burn, or hobbyists who just love the tech, try lottery or solo mining. Just go in with your eyes open about the odds. And as for cloud mining, I'd say avoid it unless you are absolutely certain you're dealing with a trustworthy provider and the math actually works out in your favor. For most people, the other options are simply better and safer. Hopefully this guide gave you a clear map of the Bitcoin mining landscape. The world of crypto is always evolving, but the fundamental trade-offs between risk and reward remain. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives like this one. And I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below. Will you try mining Bitcoin at home in 2025? And if so, which method are you leaning towards? Thanks for watching, happy mining, and good luck striking it big.